Welcome to my MPC One How to Start Jamming tutorial.
Freebie.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to Freebeat, where I post new music-related content every single day, so if that sounds good to you, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and be sure to check out my upcoming free live stream concert, Freebeat Live, 1 year later. It's on Saturday, July 31st at both 11 a.m. Pacific Time and 7 p.m. Pacific Time. Also, if you'd like the chance to have your music featured in the show, just click the link in the description below. Hope to see you there. Let's get started.
So, you just picked up a brand new Akai MPC One and you are ready to get started. Well, this video is for you. The MPC One can be a very complicated piece of gear. There's a lot of features packed into this magical box. And it can be pretty intimidating when you're trying to get started. So this video is going to be a how to start jamming guide. We're going to load up our project. I'm going to show you how to select different instruments for your tracks and how to arrange those into a basic beat. So the first thing we'll want to do is plug in our power right here to the MPC. And then you'll also want some sort of audio output. In my case, I have a left and right out from the main outs of the MPC going into my audio interface. However, down here in the front, there's a headphone jack. That will work as well. So let's go ahead and power the MPC on. You'll see this lovely boot up screen here, and the pads will cycle through their little animations. Okay, so here we go. This is the screen you get every time you boot up the MPC One. It just has a whole bunch of demos on it. You can basically ignore this whole screen except for this little button down here that says Empty Project. We want to click on that. This takes us to an empty project. Now, our projects can be thought of as songs. Songs are made up of different sequences. You can have as many sequences as you'd like, basically. Sequences can be anywhere from 1 to, I believe, 999 measures long, or bars long. So for the purposes of this video, let's go ahead and click on bars, and then use the main scroll knob here to set it to 1. We're going to have it set to 1 bar long, just a 1 bar phrase. Now, sequences are also comprised of different tracks, and tracks have several different types on the MPC. You have drum programs, plugins, key programs, clips, MIDI tracks, or CV tracks. The two that we're going to worry about today are drum tracks and plugin tracks. So, first of all, let's get a drum kit. So we want to make sure that we are on track 1, which I am now going to name drums. So I'm going to come down to this little pencil. I'm going to click the name track 1 at the top. And now, using this keyboard that looks suspiciously like a 2013 Android keyboard, we're going to type in drums. And then press do it. And then cancel. And now track 1 is named drums. So the track type we want to select is the first one, which is a drum program. So that is by default already selected, so that's perfect. Let's go ahead and press the Browse button now. This takes us to the file and folder storage of the MPC. So if we go to Drums right here, under Content, we can see all of our stock drum kits are already loaded up on the MPC. Let's go ahead and pick the fourth one, Acoustic Kit AC Fat Kit.xpm. You can either click Load or click in the main selector wheel there. Now our kit is loaded in. So if we press main right here, we are now back at this main screen. Now we actually need to assign that drum program to track 1. So we have track 1 selected. Let's go down and select the program. If we turn this knob, we will find any of the kits that we've loaded up. So we only loaded one. It's the Acoustic Fat Kit. There it is. I loaded it up. We see the pads light up, and now we can hear that our drum kit is loaded up. So let's go ahead and throw down a drum beat. So the first thing we want to do to make this easier on ourselves is click at the very top where it says Metro and has a picture of a metronome. We're going to go to Count In, which is right here, and we are going to click Record and Play. That means that when we press the play button, it's actually going to count us in first before it starts recording. We can click the X now to close out of that. And now we can actually turn that on or off using the third Q-Link knob here. If for some reason that's not working, you want to make sure that you are on page 1 of your Q-Link knobs. We're not going to get into Q-Link knobs in this video, but there are 4 different pages indicated by the 4 different lights. You can scroll through those just by pressing this button, and the different pages just basically assign these knobs to different things. On page 1, knob 3 turns on or off the metronome, so go ahead and turn that on. Now for this video, we're going to lay down a very basic drum groove that is going to start with just 4 on the floor on the kick drum, which is this first sample right here. So I'm going to go ahead and press the record button, and then I'm going to press play start. Pressing record arms the sequencer for recording. Play start guarantees that you always start at the beginning, where play will start wherever the playhead is. This is especially good to know if you're working on a longer track. So I'm going to press play start. The metronome, since we set it to count us in, is going to count to 4 to us, and then it will be recording. So once it starts recording, I'm just going to play along with the click, just like that. So I'm going to press play start. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. By default, quantization is on, so as long as your timing is halfway decent, you should record your kick drum just fine. And if you'd like, you can go back into metronome and set the count in to just on record. I like it to be on record and play, but if you just want to be able to hit play start and have it just play back without counting in when you're not recording, you can do that as well. So, perfect. Now what we need to do is overdub a snare drum onto beats 2 and beats 4. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to arm it for overdub recording by pressing overdub instead of recording. If we press record and play, it will erase what we previously laid down in that track. Overdub will let us stack more samples on top. So I'm going to press play start. It is going to count off 1 measure for us. Then I'm going to play the snare drum on beats 2 and 4. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. And you can hear that it added that snare drum in there for us. So now let's do the same thing with our hi-hat, which is pad 3. With the hi-hat, I'm also going to do quarter notes, just like that. So same thing, overdub, play start, and then play in quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. Nice and simple. Now let's load in a synthesizer track so we can have a bass line. So under track, we want to select track 1 and then scroll the wheel to track 2. It's going to say unused because we haven't loaded anything in yet. What we want to change the track type to here is plugin, which is the second one. It's the picture of the outlet. The plugins are built in to the MPC One, and they allow us to access things like an analog synth emulator, which is really cool. So let's really quick name track 2, the same way we named track 1. I'm going to name this bass synth. Okay? Now that we have that named, let's go ahead and pick our plugin. So to do that, we come down here to the actual program itself. We need to click plugin right there. I'm going to click in the scroll wheel. And now we can pick between bassline, electric, or tube synth. You can also come down and select a drum plugin if you have the latest firmware, but we're not going to worry about that today. So bassline, electric, and tube synth are our 3 different plugins. So let's just select the bassline plugin. Perfect. Now from this menu, we could select our preset, or if you'd like to get a little more in-depth with your sound editing, you can come down here and press Program Edit, which will actually take you to the synthesizer screen itself, where you can change and mess with a lot of these controls. But it shows up really poorly on camera, so we're just going to go back to the main section for now. So if we come down here to Preset, we can use the scroll wheel to scroll through the different presets, and we can use the pads to see what they sound like. I'm going to use the preset Basic because I'd like this video to be fairly basic. So now let's go ahead and set up our scale so we can play this on the pads and have it sound decent. Let's hold the Shift button and press the 16 levels button. Holding Shift will actually activate the Notes feature instead. So there we go. Now we are in the Pad Perform section. This is going to allow us to set what notes are mapped to which pads. You can see the colors correspond as well. It's really handy. So we can actually set it to just straight chromatic mode, which is nice. where the pads just play chromatically, or we can set it to notes mode, where then we can come down here and select a key and a scale. So we can have D minor. So if you do just want a chromatic keyboard, you can have that, or you can pick your key and scale, kind of like on the circuit tracks, which is nice. And you can also come right here and select your octave. So I'm going to go down to octave 1, and I'll play something in D minor, so I'm okay with this. So to get out of this screen, we can just press main again. Let's figure out what we're going to play. That sounds good. And that's one measure long, just like the rest of our sequence. So to record this in, we don't need to hit overdub because we're recording with a new track now, which doesn't have any info laid down yet. So let's press record. Play start is going to count us off with the metronome, and then we can play our little pattern. Here we go. 2, 3, 4. And just like that, it recorded. Now you'll also see that the MPC automatically switched us to overdub mode. So now any notes that I play will layer on top of what we just played. Also, I should have mentioned this earlier, but there is an undo button right here. So if you do accidentally put some notes in somewhere you don't want them, or just really make any mistakes, you can press the undo button and it will undo your last action. If you'd like to redo your last action, simply hold Shift and press undo and it will redo it. So very handy button. I use this all the time. Don't be ashamed. It's a great feature. So we now have our very first pattern, and that's really as easy as it is to get going on the MPC One. Now, if you would like to view your notes in sort of a DAW-style linear timeline fashion, you can hold the Shift button and press Main to access the grid. Now, up here on the top left, you can select what track you're viewing, so drums or bass synth. Those are our only two tracks, of course, right now. You can see that if I press play, there's our playhead. And there's our drum notes, just like that. And you can also edit from here, although that gets a bit more complicated, so I'm not going to touch on that in this video. If we go to our second track, and if you select the magnifying glass right here, we can actually pinch to zoom and scroll around, and we can see there are our bass notes on the piano roll. And there's a lot of stuff you can do in this screen, especially if your timeline gets long, in terms of zooming in or out and moving all over the place with the knobs. It's really, really cool, really, really powerful, and is one of my favorite features of the MPC. Really quick, let's talk about effects. Let's press main to get back to our kind of main screen here. If you tap this little eye right up here, it's a picture of an eyeball. It'll bring in the, I don't know what you want to call it, the audio screen. But anyway, we can go and select what track we're looking at here, drums or bass synth. And this is how you can access your insert effects. So let's put some reverb on the bass. So if I go to the bass synth, I click on inserts here, we can have up to 4 different insert effects, which is really cool. So let's go and select some reverb, which is under delay/reverb. I'm just going to go ahead and pick air reverb. From here, we can press the pencil and we can actually control all the aspects of that reverb, or we can pick from some presets. I'm going to use basic medium. Now, if I press main, that's already applied. Let's listen. Can definitely hear that reverb. So there you have it. There's the very basics that you need to know to get started with the MPC One. From here, it's a lot of experimentation. Obviously, you can set more bars per your sequence, so you can have some much longer and complex music. You've got copy and like paste and delete functions all over the place. Anywhere you see this pencil icon, basically, you've got tons of options to edit stuff. And from here on out, you get to explore and learn everything there is to learn about this wonderful box. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to leave a like on it. If not, you can always leave a dislike. That's okay too. On these tutorial type videos, please feel free to leave questions down in the comments, and I will do my best to answer every single one. Don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that notification bell. I do post a new video every single day. Thank you so very much for being here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye.